Can you imagine having to travel everywhere by foot or on a train? Do you think you can go about your everyday life without the many mass-produced items that you own? If not, then don't worry. I'm sure most of us do. However, you should thank Henry Ford. Howdy everyone, my name is Javier Lopez. I'm a mechanical engineering major studying at Texas A&M University, and today I will be talking to you about Henry Ford. Founder of Ford Motors and one of the most notable mechanical engineers of all time, Henry Ford is widely known for his cars. Ford, however, is a huge contributor to many revolutionary inventions that have literally changed the world, and while doing so, he was still kept humble to himself. I'm sure we've all been in a Ford car at least once, whether this was an Explorer, a Mustang, or a Ford F-150. But let's go back to where it all started. Back in 1908, when Ford released his first car, the Model T, this was the first gasoline-powered car. So this was a huge accomplishment of his. In an article released by Thompson in 2014, he mentions how streets used to be flooded with people and horse manure. And soon after the release of the first Model T and the ones that kept coming after, this all changed and streets actually became Ford cars instead of people. The car was said to be art, and it was the car that could be adapted for almost any use, says Brinkley in an article that he released in 2013. Brinkley also mentions in that same article that the Model T was renowned globally by the mid-1920s, and that 2/3 of Americans who owned a car owned a Model T specifically. However, the Model T was not the only notorious invention by Henry Ford. A few years after Ford's release of the Model T car came the assembly line, which changed industry forever. In an article by Samuelson in 1997, he mentions that the assembly line made jobs a lot easier, but this meant that skill levels declined sharply. However, the assembly line allowed for many companies and markets to be able to mass produce and actually boom and be stable. In a research done by Bonato, Tomac, and Redonja in 2019, they claim that soon after the assembly line was released, America was industrially and politically at the top of the world. And this was all thanks to Henry Ford. And besides all this great inventions of Henry Ford, he still stayed true to himself. He put himself in someone else's shoes and was humble. So Henry Ford, he changed a lot of lives and produced many jobs, even jobs that he didn't know about. In Samuelson's article mentioned before, from 1997, he had mentioned that jobs became easier and there was a lot of jobs that were easy to do. This allowed women and children to be able to work as well. And Ford even doubled his workers' salary so that they wouldn't leave somewhere else. Ford mentions in one of his books titled My Life and Work, released in 1923, how it is not usual to speak of an employer as a partner. And yet, what else is he? This goes to show how much Ford really cares for his employees and doesn't see them just as employees, but as actual partners. Soon after Ford's passing, his son Edsel Ford established the Ford Foundation. And in the mid-1940s, after both Henry and Edsel had passed away, the Ford Foundation became the biggest philanthropy according to a database from the Ford Foundation. And this fulfilled Henry Ford's dream. To wrap up, I just want to reiterate how Henry Ford changed so many lives, produced so many jobs and artifacts that we still use up to this day. His foundation was able to help so many people, and it's still doing so to this day. He has helped those that are less fortunate and find themselves oppressed by society start a better life. Ford is respected all around the globe. He has been ever since the release of the Model T and is still to this day. So if that is not an example to follow, then I don't know who is. Thank you.
Questions?